Hello and welcome to week 3 of the e-course, How to Have the Willpower to Achieve All Your Goals. I know this course is not an easy one, both in the requirements of time, as in the requirements with the patience and the nerves that are necessary to do it. Sorry to break it down to you, but this is the only way that you can do to grow your will. Only by practicing it and exercising it, you can actually grow your will. Nothing more to it. And this week we'll continue with changing some hazardous situations and events in your life. They can only benefit you, but if you find them too hard to change, even if you don't change them, at least be aware of them. Be aware of how they influence you, and at the very least, give it a shot to follow these advices for a while. Maybe you'll find them worthwhile. There's one very interesting concept that I should mention in regard to willpower, because it will improve your willpower tremendously while giving you an edge in charisma and relationship with others. It's the concept of silent talking. And I first read it on a wonderful little book of Stuart Wilde called Silent Power. You can find it on the recommended books section. This is where I first read it, but then I started to identify it in every single person that I've met, which are really charismatic persons. All of them really are this kind of silent talkers. And what is all about this silent talking? Most people talk to hear themselves. They talk because they need to, and not to actually getting to know the other person. How many times were you hearing a story that the other person was telling you, and you couldn't wait for them to finish so that you could tell your story that was even funnier and more interesting than theirs? This is like most people are. They are not usually interested in what you have to say. While you talk, they are waiting to respond with something bigger and something better. So you mention you're taking a vacation, and they mention every vacation that they ever been on. This is a sign of insecurity, having to win over the other person by trying to impress. And as Stuart Wilde says, most of what other people say doesn't impress you, or does it? Mostly it bores you. So if the story of their vacation is particularly interesting or amusing, or there's something to learn from it, okay. But generally speaking, when they're telling you about their vacation, they're only pleasing themselves by trying to compete with you. You're going on a vacation, but they have been on bigger, better, and more expensive ones. So be careful with your dialogue and try not to compete with other people. It's only a waste of your energy. When engaging in dialogue with others, try to remain underneath them, psychological, rather than talking across to them or even talking down to them. Let me explain. Talking above people is trying to make them feel inferior, pushing yourself onto them or attempting to force your ideas upon them. It's dominating the conversation with endless tales of your experience, like dominating the stage. Like Stuart Wilde says, if these people say they've been to China and you respond by saying that you've been there 19 times, you are trying to get above them and you are being combative. You don't need to combat. This is just wasting your energy needlessly. Talking like this is a waste of energy, and you can never fully know the other person, since your need to impress and to express your views is always first. It's your ego talking, not you. So when your ego isn't leaning, pushing, or shoving and pressing upon them, you learn so much more about people, and you can really love them and support them. By doing so, you exhibit solidity and strength of character. It also allows others to feel supported by your presence, which grants you a silent charisma, this silent power that Stuart Wilde says. Resist having to present yourself on an ego stage. Quiet yourself and watch others. Avoid talking about yourself to others. If you have the need to discuss your feelings and ask things, that's okay, but choose the persons you do this very carefully. Maybe select only 1 or 2 friends to do it and not more. And not all the time, choose one time to do it. Be present in your dialogue. Do not talk about yourself to every person you come across. Instead, ask them questions about themselves. Support their needs or the ego dump, and your will will be so much stronger. By getting underneath them psychologically, you are in fact superior to your own ego needs and desires. Try this concept out for a while and see the results. We have all made mistakes of overpromising, so what difference should that make? What does any of it have to do with the fact that you made a commitment and now are expected to live up to it? So you overpromised and now are not happy about it. But hey, a deal is a deal. Deal with it and keep your word. Yes, it might cost you some money to live up to your word. Or yes, it might be painful to deliver on your promise. Yes, it might even be embarrassing to you or humiliate you. It might be expensive or inconvenient. But hey, That's too bad. A deal's a deal. Next time remember this and make a better deal. But this time live up to your commitment. If you make a promise, keep it. If you give your word, do not go back on it. You mess it up, accept it, and face the consequences. One very important thing for your will is doing what you said you're going to do, when you said you're going to do it, and how you said you're going to do it. Too many people don't live up to their words. And if you don't follow your word, how do you expect to always have a strong will? A strong will means living up to what you said you're going to do, both to yourself and to others. If you say to yourself that you are going to start that training program at 6 a.m. every day, then you do it, at least for 1 month or 2 months, or as long as it takes to convince yourself that you can do it. If you said you are going to do something, you do it, regardless of what it takes. This creates an amazing habit of willing and intention. I cannot overemphasize the kind of benefits that you will achieve by doing this in your life. If you said you're going to follow one of these courses until the end, you do it. You don't complain or quit in the middle because it's so hard. This will only create a habit in you of quitting. While if you always follow your word, this will create a habit of succeeding. Start to live by the principle that your word is bond, both for yourself in your own inner dialogue and goals, and to commitments that you make with other people. If you have to eat some frogs the first few times, well, that's too bad. At least you'll learn to make some better deals the next time. Exercise 6. Destruction of bigger bad habits. Last week we started to destroy some small habits, indifferent things you might just do out of habit. This week I want you to pick up one bigger bad habit that you have and decide to just stop doing it. Maybe it's smoking, maybe it's eating junk food, maybe it's an addiction to eating chips, maybe it's complaining with other drivers while you're on the road. Just choose just one of them, one that it's not too hard to quit, and stick with it. For example, if you smoke and you feel that it's too hard for you to stop smoking cold turkey just now, pick up another bad habit that you might have, which is a little bit easier for you to quit, and start with that. Later on, attack the smoking. Choose one that you know for sure that you can stop doing. This is the exercise for this week, choosing one habit you know for sure you can stop doing it, one bigger and bad habit. This exercise is simply the silent talking concept as just presented to you. So this week, in all interactions you have with people, avoid talking too much about yourself. Only do it if they ask. And even if they ask, you don't need to babble endlessly. Be concise and don't talk too much. Control your dialogue and the need of your ego to impress other people. Be aware of this on your next interactions. I'm pretty sure that you'll find this exercise a little bit harder than you expect, because we've all been conditioned by society to impress other people. This is deeply rooted in the society. So for some people it will be harder than for others, but try to do it. This will really improve your social life. Exercise 8. Body awareness. Sit comfortably with your spine straight. Use the same posture as exercise 1. And simply observe what is happening inside your body. The sensations, the feelings, and nothing else. Do not try to relax or to breathe in an unusual or special way, or try to control the thoughts, nothing. Just focus on the sensations of your body without making any effort at all to change them or to control them. Make sure you do not move a muscle while you're doing this. Same thing as exercise 1. At this point, considering you're already doing the other exercises, do 10 minutes at first and gradually increase 1 or 2 minutes a day until you reach 30 minutes at a time. Remember that it's important to focus on your body sensations. If your mind wanders to someplace else, gently bring it back. Don't move even if you get itchy. Just observe the itching and it will go away. Use your willpower for that. Make no judgments of what you observe. Just observe. Don't criticize, reject, label the feelings as comfortable or uncomfortable. Just observe. Accept them as they are because they are you. The first will disease for this week is the explosive will. Any explosion indicates lack of equilibrium, of balance. Great temper, unpremeditated crime are sudden release of energy, revealing an overcharge or unbalanced nervous tone. With some men, power is always in what they may be called a state of instability. The will is used like an animal that attacks its prey or rushes into action like a flood from a broken reservoir of water. There are situations in life which need these eruptive outgoes, but they are rare. And if this kind of will is characteristic, it surely indicates lack of self-control. The true will is never ruled by mob influences or fits of temper. The will must control itself. It may decide quickly and irresistibly, but without violently losing its powers. Ordinarily, all violence signifies weakness, and this is what you should avoid. Those who lose their tempers rather quickly are not men of great will. What is the cure for this? Cultivate calmness by all the exercise of relaxation you can find, and release your anger in a healthy way by joining an organized, more or less violent sport where you have to release your anger in a healthy way with rules and regulations, something like soccer or handball or basketball. Anger must come out in some way. If you only do meditation or relaxation, while good, you are only repressing that anger if you don't release it in someplace else. There are other alternative methods of releasing trapped emotions, but it's beyond the scope of this course to list them all. The lack of confidence in will is due to a lack of knowledge of the will, for the reason that a true knowledge of the will would mean immense confidence in its powers. If you only knew the power of your will, you would never lack confidence in it. So never again say, my will is not strong enough, as it will only be a self-fulfilling prophecy. Your will is strong, and you just have to connect with it and accept with it without complaints. Many will leaks would disappear if only we trusted in the will. Its power is so great, its recovery power is so certain, and its resources so unlimited that it's capable of achieving really wonderful results. All that is needed is a firm confidence in it. It is, as we have said, our highest and most perfect faculty. It is the best thing we have and the most effective weapon that we wield. It alone can develop itself. As we saw, it cannot be trained or perfected from the outside. It alone can cure its own diseases. The one essential thing is, however, that we should place trust and confidence in it. Cultivate confidence and belief in your own will, and the rewards will be very evident for you. Okay, so here's a summary for the exercises for this week. You have been doing exercise 1 and 4 each morning and night, but now I want you to do exercise 1 and 4 coupled with 5 each morning or night. So you choose to do it exercise 1 in the morning, and you do exercise 8, the body awareness one, at night, for example. Or you can change it to the body awareness in the morning, and you do exercise 1 coupled with 5 and 4 at night. And I want you also is to keep up with the nervous control of exercise 2 and with the small habits of exercise 3, but also add one bigger habit, the exercise 6. And also start with doing the silent talking. Try it out for this week. It will be fun for you. And next week, you'll have the final week of the willpower course. See you then.